What is critical reading? What is the purpose behind it? Essentially, critical reading means reading in order to have a deep understanding of a piece of text. Critical reading is the act of analyzing and evaluating what you are reading as you make your way through the text, or as you reflect back on the reading once you are done. There are a number of critical reading strategies you can use to help yourself attain this type of deep understanding. For example, you could annotate the text, underlining important parts of the text such as the thesis statement, topic sentences, and important explanatory material. You could try to identify the historical or cultural context of the text and consider how this context is different from your own. You could also paraphrase, outline, or summarize the text in your own words once you have finished reading the text. When you paraphrase a text, you put it in your own words, which could help you to understand difficult or ambiguous parts of the reading. Outlining allows you to identify the basic structure and main ideas of text. Summarizing helps you to synthesize the material from the original text in your own words. One reading strategy that incorporates many of these ideas into one is called SQ3R, which stands for Survey, Question, Read, Recite, and Review. Reading critically following the SQ3R method helps you to read in an effective top-down manner, in which you first gain a big picture of the text, then prioritize the material you will focus on in a more detailed reading. I'll walk you through this reading technique now. The first step in reading critically following the SQ3R method is to survey. The word survey simply means to examine something in a general way. You, for example, might climb a hill and look down on the city of Hong Kong. In doing so, you have surveyed the land to gather a general big picture. In terms of reading, surveying refers to a very short process of about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the length of text, aimed at understanding what the general topic is about. To accomplish this survey, you look for the various titles and subtitles that authors add to written texts, any words that have been underlined, made bold, and of course, any visuals. You look more carefully at the introductory and summary paragraph of the text, as these two paragraphs contain key information that can give you a general understanding of the text. You also look at the topic sentences of each body paragraph. All of this will assist readers to gain a big picture of the content and structure of the text. Once you have finished this, usually you will quickly write a one-sentence summary about what you have found, beginning with, "This text is about." Having gained a brief understanding of the reading, it's now time to formulate questions. Questions are used as many people find them useful in guiding their reading. It's often difficult to remain focused on your reading without some sort of guide, and questions help in this process. Creating questions is really not that difficult. If there are headings in the text you are reading, you can begin by utilizing the headings and subheadings. These statements can be easily turned into questions. You can simply change the words used in these headings into questions. For example, if I were creating questions based on a text under the heading SQ3R, I might formulate questions like, what is SQ3R? What is the purpose or function of SQ3R? Or, how does one conduct SQ3R? If the text is shorter and there are no headings or subheadings, you could create questions based on the WH questions in English. Who, what, when, where, why, and how, for example. After you have surveyed the text, you should jot down the questions you have about the text that would help you to focus your more detailed reading. The main aim of this step in the reading process is simply to focus your mind on the task. With your questions in mind, the next step is to read in order to answer each question. Typically, many readers will focus on specific vocabulary words. Unless these words affect meaning, you ought not become fixed on these at this stage. A good reader should wait until the text is understood before focusing on these words. Each section of the text should be read with the aim of trying to understand the general idea. If there are new ideas that come to mind, you should write down these questions. Such questions are very useful for further inquiry. The important thing to remember is to focus on the general meaning. Do not get bogged down with details, nor try to memorize everything. Recitation is simply a means for good readers to consolidate their learning. With so much information entering your mind, you need to consolidate ideas. This is normally completed at the end of a text or a chapter if you're reading a textbook. Here, you review the questions originally written and attempt to answer them. There are many methods for doing this. You can discuss with others what you have read or write a summary. When creating a summary, try and do so from memory rather than going back to the text and copying down what is written. The last step in the strategy for critical reading is review. One simple tool you might find useful to review your reading is a mind map. It can consolidate your learning by helping you organize information in an easy and understandable format. A good mind map, often on one side of paper, should display how each point is important and in relation to another. There are general guidelines for creating a mind map. Write the title of the reading at the page center and draw a circle around it. Draw lines or a circle out from the main circle to place ideas in subheadings. Draw lines or a circle out of the subheading circles to place ideas within the subheadings. Use single words or phrases only. Use colors to show different ideas. Use symbols and images where possible. Use cross-links where ideas are related. Now let's look at a more specific example of reading that's relevant to everyone taking this course. Reading business cases. Most business cases are organized into 3 parts: an opening, middle, and an end, followed by any attached appendices. Understanding what kind of information each of these sections tends to contain before you begin to read these business cases is very useful. The opening of business cases usually sets the scene and attempts to place you as the reader in the actual situation. It begins with a general background of the situation with a controlling idea, introduces the main character or protagonist and the main problem or problems in the case, and directs you to what you should be thinking about. The middle part of business cases usually provides more information, such as background information about the company being focused on. It introduces more characters. The middle section may elaborate more on the problem at the heart of the case, or provide details on why the problem or problems exist. This middle part may include both facts and opinions in the form of a narrative. The writer will give more information about the main character's feelings and thoughts, as well as some statistical data. This middle section may include possible solutions to the problem, which have been tried and tested, but which are still ineffective. The ending of a business case usually consists of a summary of the problem or problems, and may contain suggestions of possible solutions without solving the case per se, is the one which should be read first. Efficient critical reading involves an understanding of the way texts are organized. By looking at the organization and focusing your attention on the right places, you can reduce the time taken to read texts and increase your comprehension as well.